Okay. Likkutei Torah, Parshat Naso, page Chavav, bottom of the first column. It says in the pasuk about Birkat Kohanim, Kaisvarchus Bnei Yisrael. This is the way you should bless the Yidden. Amar lahem, you should tell them, V'rechacha Hashem Yoed, Hashem Yisa Hashem. Hine Amar Azal. The Gemara says, Amar Malach Yosef Bnei HaKadosh Baruch Hu. The Malachim said to Hashem, Ksiv b'Torah, it says in the Torah, Ashali Yisapon, that Hashem doesn't have favoritism, V'ata Nesi Panim Yisrael, and yet you have favoritism to the Jews, because it says, Yisa Hashem Panim Elacha, Hashem will have Nesiyas Payim, meaning Hashem will have favoritism to you. So the Malachim said to Hashem, we don't understand, your own Torah says Hashem doesn't have favoritism, and yet, by Birkat Kohanim, there's favoritism. Amalahem, so Hashem answered them, V'chila yasepanim Yisrael, should I not have favoritism to the Jews? Shekasavti lem b'Torah, the Torah says, V'yachalta v'savato beirachta, says Hashem alakecha. The Torah says you should only bless after eating, only if you're full. And the Jews, even on the kazayis, make an after bracha. So Hashem says to the Malachim, I shouldn't have favoritism. I tell them they only have to bench if they're full, and they bench even if they have a kazayas. So he says, Lahav in Zeh, to understand this whole thing, Shebeshvil adiktuk, Shemedaktim at kazayas nesinas panim l'mayla, because the Jews just do it on a kazayas. I mean, is that enough of a reason to have favoritism when Hashem normally says, I don't have favoritism? I mean, it's not a big thing already. It's not that they have Mesidas Nefesh. It says, okay, they bench and a kazayas instead of getting full. To understand the sequence of these brachas. He said, what's the order of Birkas Kohanim? Like first Yivarechacha and then Yoer and Yisa, like what's the sequence? But in order to understand this, we first need to understand the inyan of Birkas Hamazon. Because Birkas Kohanim obviously is likened to benching. Because the Gemara says, in Birkas Kohanim, there's favoritism. Favoritism is called because the Jews bench even on the kazayas. Yeah, so we need to understand what is this inyan Birkas Hamazon, v'la metzrichim tzviyim min ha-Torah. Why taka does the Torah say you have to be full? Why shouldn't you thank Hashem for any amount? Think about it. A guy gives you something, you say thank you. He has to give you a big thing to say thank you. And anything he gives you should say thank you. So what's this thing in that biblically you only have to bench if you're full, and the Eden come in even a smaller amount? Well, Inyan is as follows. It says in the pasuk, Beirachta es Hashem alakecha. We know that in Chumash, many times it says the word es. And the Gemara learns, every time it says the word es, it's inclusive. For instance, starting off with the first pasuk in Chumash, the Torah said, Bereshit bara Elokim es hashemayim ve'es haaretz. It could have said, Bereshit bara Elokim hashemayim ve'haaretz. Same thing. It says, Kabed es avicha ve'es imacha, to include all the brothers, whatever. So why it says Uberachta es Hashem alakecha? It should say Berachta Hashem alakecha. What's the es? So it says es is aleph to tov. Vein eis is me aleph atov. The letters from aleph to tov. When it says the word eis or es, it's aleph to tov, which means all the letters of the alphabet. Everything was created with letters equivalent in Sheikhad V'Amunah. The world was created with 10 utterances. Is the life of everything. And creating them yesh miyayin. Right? It's through the combination of letters, numerical values, changing of letters. the nefesh of the person is also full of letters. Like it says, Ata nefachtabi. Or it's a vayipach bi'apav nishmas chayim, u'rosh beruach piv yizbarech. U'veruach piv kol tzvam, veruach piv amachayes hakel, aydei b'chinas eisius, which are eisius of asor maimoris. The Alter Rebbe says like this, everything in the world is created with letters. The neshama is also created by Hashem blowing, which blowing is also a form of letters, except letters come into formation, and this is external, and this is internal. Yeah, Tanya today, Shayach Gamuna, the whole thing, yes. So he says, okay, the pearl, the Alter Rebbe starts like this. What's the connection between Birkas Kohanim and favoritism to a Kazayas? So he starts explaining that Uberachta Es Hashem Elokecha, Es is Aleph to Tov, which means letters. So he says, letters created the world. The Nefesh is full of letters because Hashem blew into Adam Rishon air. V'neksiv, Vayikra Adam Shemes L'chol HaBehemes U'leif HaShemayim. Adam Rishon called names to all the Behemah and the Eif. The all equivalent, Hashem gave names to all the animals. Now, we know when you call Vayikra, it says the same thing by Vayikra Moshe. When you call somebody, they come to you. They're supposed to come to you at least. So the concept of Vayikra is a connection. Vayikra Adam, when Adam Rishon gave the name to all the animals and birds and everything, it means he was mamshich the names, the chayas of Elokus, into those particular animals. And he says, they're created from concealed to revealed. Lies Bahem Gilu Yachayis Mirof Bivis Barich La Leisim Ulakashinam B'Mekayim. So what Adam Rishon actually did by calling the animals names, he connected the animal with the power of Hashem that's in the animal. Vayikra Hashem is he brought him down. Ki Aliyasam is Kashinusim B'Mekayim. Because what connects animals and everything else to that matter to the source, who ayidei ha'adam, is through mankind. Shu rashul chol b'nechinas demer temer chay medaber v'u amamshe gilu chayusa mimkar mimakar chayes miruch previous body. The Alter Rebbe is saying here a phenomenal concept that Yidden bring down the chayes of every single animal and every single creature of inanimate, plant, animal, human. People are the one, Yidden, through their Aveda, actually brings down the life force of every creation in the creation. What?
How did the animals live before Adam Harishon?
How did the world exist before Matan Torah? Huh? Good point, thank you.
Animal was right after Adam.
Before Adam. Before Adam.
But weren't they living not under potential and Adam activated it?
No. They were alive. Hashem created animals, they were alive.
I was told there were no rain, there were no trees, nothing, but when Adam, they were living it, they were creating the potential, but Adam brought it into the physicality.
It was all in the first day. I mean, take it easy. It wasn't that they had to live so long. No, Hashem created the animals, and it says there was no person to work the land, so nothing was, even though vegetation was created on the third day. The words of Hashem in the food are the letters that came out from Hashem, Skip like 5 lines in the parentheses. Lahach is Adam to give life to the person. That in the person and through the person, they become elevated back to the source. In other words, what elevates an animal back to its source? A person. What elevates inanimate plant, an animal, a person? That's why when a person eats an animal, contrary to the animal rights group, the person elevates the animal. The problem is they think animals are greater than people. But Adam Rishon, a person elevates animals to a human state. Huh? So because of Shol Shivsa Tmeis, they have to be pushed away. You don't. You weaken them because it's evil. When Mashiach comes, they'll be elevated. So those things are not supposed to be elevated. Yeah. We have the Torah, no, so the power of Torah is what does it.
And not every animal that's created has to be edible for a Jew. To have a purpose.
When a Jew eats chicken, a piece of chicken, all chicken in the world is elevated.
But maybe the way to elevate an elephant is by having other uses for it.
Yeah, you can benefit. If you're able to benefit, you can elevate an animal, you can elevate a pig.
Just by looking at an elephant, you're elevating it. If you enjoy it.
If you, in halacha, it's a Gemara in brachas, and it's halacha. If you see an elephant, there's a bracha. Baruch atah Hashem mashana briyos. So if a person makes a bracha on an elephant, so then he's elevating the elephant. Not by directly using it, but by making a bracha on it.
A lot of things.
Reveal the source in it.
A lot of things by not using them, that's how you elevate them.
No. You don't elevate a pig by using it for football.
You don't? Or
You could elevate that aspect of the chazar. But the aspect of eating chazar is by not eating it.
That's what I said.
No, so you don't elevate it. If you eat it, then you strengthen evil. In the battle of good and bad, if bad is strengthened, then the battle against good is more difficult. Correct? So good we elevate, meaning even klippus noiga, but it's elevatable. You elevate it by utilizing, eating, using it, whatever. Right? Now once good is stronger, evil automatically gets weaker. Because there's nothing keeping it alive in a pneumistic way. It's only, over the shoulders. If a person eats chazan, they strengthen the power of evil. That's why there's no bracha on positive and negative mitzvahs. Because you don't bring down kedusha by not eating chazan. It's just if you eat chazan, you strengthen chazan, so evil gets stronger, so the battle is worse, is harder.
You say one candle, by a little bit of light, pushes a lot of darkness.
Right.
All of the revealing that is being done by Sadiqim, and all the revealing and all the bracha, and so on and so forth, has not been able to push away this klipa?
Obviously not.
Obviously not.
Klipa is pretty strong. There's a lot of it going around.
How could I elevate it? I eat a piece of the chicken and I elevate all the chickens of this world. How could that be?
Because you're elevating chicken.
In an abstract.
You're directly elevating that particular piece. Indirectly, you elevate all the things. That's what it says. I didn't say it. It says in the books.
So if I eat 2 pieces, I will elevate more, or
You mean want to eat more now?
With the right intention, of course.
It has to be mamish l'shem shemayim, not because it tastes good. Okay, so all of them that are concerning that it says, Hashem could have created the world with one utterance, which is the one utterance that includes all the others. וממנו נמשך נשחק על 10 מימורת פרוטים, וידי האדם בוים למיימר הכל. Meaning, Adam, meaning a Yid, takes all the details of creation and unites them with the one general utterance, which happens to be Bereshit Bar Elokim. They elevate it to the stage of its source of one general utterance, which is the general klal for all the detailed other 9 utterances. And that's what it says. V'zehu ממשיך למגילי משם, זהו בירכת אס, היינו להמשך הגילי משאר שאיסיס, אברוך פיו כדי שהידי זה, that through this, יסעלו ויסקשו במקרה. So he says like this, what does it mean, בירכת אס השם אלוקיך? Aleph to Tov represents all the details, utterances that Hashem created the world with, right? All the variations. So the Yidden elevate every aspect of creation through the avodah of Torah mitzvahs. Not only the avodah of Torah mitzvahs, when you eat and drink and sleep and gym and work and everything, you're elevating, if you do it right, you're elevating everything that exists in the world to a level of kedusha. So he says, the koyach of doing this level of revealing Elokus is aydei milchamas ha'adam benafshi habamis. Okay, that's through battle. It's not easy to elevate all this kedusha, because again, coming from Matan Torah, in order to take Gashmias and elevate Gashmias to Ruchnias, it's impossible, because you can't elevate finite into infinite, and you can't make physical into spiritual. That was the koyach of Matan Torah that happened. So, because of Matan Torah, Yid has that koyach. Ki lechem hu loshen az lachem sha'arim, sheperush he loshen mulchama. Now, the Rebbe says like this, the word lechem, which is the general word for all food, main staple is bread, lechem levav enish yisod. Lechem comes from the word milchama. The word of milchama is lechem. And he says, that's what it says in the Zohar. Nama pum charba yechel. Bread through the sword you're going to eat. Simply the Zohar says, what do you mean nama pum charba yechel means how you people have to fight to get food. You have to work, it's a battle, it's a struggle. But here the Alter Rebbe explained, Nama pum charba refers to tefillah. Asher lokachti miyad ha'ameri becharbi ubekashti. Chassidus explains, cherev is tefillah and kashti is Torah. We learned many times. Cherev, when you fight with a sword, you're touching each other. When you shoot a bow and arrow, it's distant. In serving Hashem, there's 2 avodas. There's a close-up battle, meaning direct battle with the Yetzer Hara, and then there's the distant battle. You're not dealing directly with it. When you learn Torah, you're not fighting the Yetzer Hara. By learning Torah, you elevate the Yetzer Hara. Tefillah is the battle, Amish davening with the Yetzer Hara, against the Yetzer Hara. That's the Pesukei de Zimmer, Birkat Krishma. So davening, that's what Yaakov Avinu said to Yosef, Asher lakachti miyad ha'ameri, but I took, Shem, that I took from the Ameri, becharbi ubekashti. So Chassidus explains, Ameri is the same letters as Ramai, a liar, swindler. That refers to the Yetzer Hara, the Nefesh Habamis. Yaakov Avinu says, how do you conquer, how do you take Miyado Ameri, how do you conquer the Yetzer Hara, the Nefesh Habamis, is through Charbi Bekashti. You have the sword, which is direct, which is davening, and then you have the level of Torah, which is distant. You're not fighting indirectly. By learning about things, you elevate them. It's not a direct battle with the Yetzer Hara. What? Tefillah is direct with the Yetzer Hara. It's like a sword. I don't suggest anything. I say it. Yeah. Is the fight against the Yetzer Hara. Yeah. That's why I suggested. I know I did tefillah because it says in the expression, shas korva. The Zohar says the expression, the time of davening is the time of battle. They elevate Hashem with their voices, with their throats, and the double-edged sword is in their hand. When you daven, you have a double-edged sword killing the Yetzer Hara. Therefore, first it says to love Hashem and serve Him with all your heart, and then it says, then you'll be able to elevate the sparks of Kedusha. 1 second. When it speaks in the second parsha of Shema, if you listen to Hashem, then I'll give rain, you'll be able to take your food. If not, Hashem will stop the rain and you won't have any food. That's the simple meaning. Here the Alter Rebbe is saying, does not only mean physically you're going to gather the food. Asafta de Ganacha means you're going to elevate all the sparks, gather all the sparks that are yours, de Ganacha, things that belong to you. It's yours, right? Asafta, you're going to gather all the sparks to Kedusha. So that first has to come through Tefillah. Why according to Halacha, even according to Halacha, you're not allowed to do work before davening. You're not allowed to do things before davening. Why not? What does Hashem care? You daven an hour later, do work, and then daven an hour later. Because in order to elevate the sparks in the world of Klippa, you need first to have the battle of Tefillah. Once you have davening and then you have learning, then you can take on the day. Then you can fight the day. Because then you have the power of davening, Tefillah, and Torah, that you have the ability to conquer the world. Otherwise, how are you going to do it? So the Alter Rebbe is saying, therefore, at the beginning of second parsha Shema, it says first, La'avas Hashem Lokechem B'chol Levavchem, right, which is Tefillah, and then Yasafta de Ganechem.
That Avodah doesn't include work, stretching and exercise.
If the purpose is to be healthy to serve Hashem, yes. If it's to worship the body, no, then it's Avodah Zarah. Then you're worshiping the body. Some people go to a gym, to be healthy. Some people go to gym because they actually worship their body. You have to be tip-top shape. It has nothing to do with health. It's for looks, That's Avodah Zarah. Then you're worshiping your body.
Some go to gym to see other beautiful bodies.
Yeah, okay, that's good. That's for sure serving Hashem. And he says, Ki betchila tzarich liyaz le'ava. First, in order to elevate Gashmis, you need to see the first of Li'ava. What does Ava mean? Like the Alter Rebbe learned many times, Miloshin Ava, Hainu Rotzin. Ava means love. Love means, what's the root of Ava? Which means, like Ava Hashem Hashchisecha. Hashem doesn't want. Ava comes with, I want them. Something you love, you want. You want it because you love it, and love it because you want it. So it's the same word. So in other words, because you la'avas Hashem Elokechem, because you want the Elokus, then if that's what your goal is, godliness, then when you go to the gym and work and eat and the gym, whatever, then or sleep. So then that's all elevated. Yosef to the Ganech. Then you're going to gather all the sparks from all that stuff. And he says, what should be the wanting of the person? What should be the desire of the person? To have the oneness, basically, just like before creation. Instead of this low world, there's only a revelation of godliness. There was no world of helam, of concealment. It's going to be in the era of Mashiach. That's what the Jew wants to reveal now in the world. In other words, the person's goal is to reveal godliness in the world, just like it was at the beginning of creation, before world, it was only godliness, like it's going to be when Mashiach comes, only godliness. And now the Jew realizes it's only a concealment as far as our concerned. But as far as Hashem is concerned, ain't Eid Muvadi. So what's the person's Aveda in the 6,000 years? The Aveda of the 6,000 years is to take the Yesh, the concealment, and Helam that Hashem created, is to unhide it, and reveal godliness, that the reality is, there's no difference before or after that Hashem created the world. It's all a Likkutei. Since when do you ask a question middle of a mimer about a question he asks at the beginning of the mimer?
So, what does the verse say? Only say,
Biblically,